Today's podcast is brought to you by Visa, who wants to know, where would you like to be? Whether you're a super fan getting ready for a game or a food truck owner feeding hungry fans, Visa wants to help you pursue your passion with a simple and unwavering vision to be the best way to pay and be paid for everyone, everywhere. They know that every Visa transaction is a promise, and they want to provide you with the most secure and easy payment experience possible. That's why they're continuing to make innovations, from tapping to pay to pushing money directly to your debit card so you can get to where you would like to be. Visa, everywhere you want to be.
Hey y'all, Uncle Jimmy here. When you speak for yourself, you're forced to think for yourself. And when you think for yourself, the sports world looks different. In order to enjoy this podcast and this show, you need to have the courage to look at the world from alternative points of view and not be offended when you disagree. Speak for yourself isn't your Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram feed. SFY tells you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. So, welcome aboard, buckle up, and enjoy the ride.
We start in Kansas City. All right, yesterday, Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes showed us the difference between football's most valuable player and football's best player. Lamar Jackson is the NFL's MVP. Mahomes is the league's best player. That's the takeaway from this weekend's slate of NFL playoff games. After a regular season of injury and perceived lost power, Patrick Mahomes looked like Winston Churchill recapturing power from Clement Attlee's Labor Party in 1951. Trailing the Houston Texans 24-zip early in the second quarter, Mahomes told his teammates, "We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight on the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender." The Chiefs scored the next 41 points. They led 28-24 at halftime and won the game 51-31. Mahomes tossed 5 touchdown passes. 24 hours after Jackson and the Ravens were incapable of digging out from a bad first quarter and a 14-0 deficit to the Titans, Mahomes and the Chiefs erased a 24-0 deficit in the second quarter. This weekend was a belated Christmas present for Bill Polian and skeptics of Lamar Jackson and Baltimore's run-heavy offense. The question has always been, what would happen if the Ravens had to play from behind? Are the Ravens capable of doing what the Chiefs did on Sunday? I don't think so. Here's the thing about the Texans-Chiefs game. Because of Mahomes, I never felt like the Chiefs were out of it. I never tweeted a word of panic. The Chiefs have Churchill, and the British Bulldog said, "The pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. The optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty." Kansas City's large deficit gave Mahomes a stage to do something historic. When you have the best player and he plays quarterback, you're never out of any game. That's the difference between best and valuable. Only a fool doubts Lamar's value. Baltimore's offense enhances Lamar's value because he's the only one who can run it at a high level. On the other hand, Mahomes is the game's best player and quarterback, and you can plug him into any team, any offense, and any situation, and he's going to excel. Mahomes is Winston Churchill. The United Kingdom thought it didn't need Churchill after World War II. Clement Attlee ousted Churchill with a landslide victory in 1945. Attlee ruled for 6 years until Churchill beat him in 1951 and 55. Attlee is a footnote. Churchill is one of the most revered leaders in world history. Am I saying Lamar will be reduced to an NFL footnote? I'm not willing to go there. But let's never again forget who is the game's best player. Mahomes is trending towards being the next iteration of Tom Brady. Lamar might wind up being the next iteration of Michael Vick. All right, joining the desk now are Fox Sports NFL analyst Mark Schlereth and Hall of Famer, top 100 player Tony Gonzalez. Marcellus.
100.
Get us started. Did Patrick Mahomes prove he's the best player in the NFL?
No, he did not conclude that, did not prove that. You got to respect how you become even in that conversation, let alone the one who we had deemed the best player in football, who's going to win MVP this year, Lamar Jackson. It wasn't after one game, so why would we take that away from him after one game? So you got to have a body of work that supports that. You don't even enter that conversation, let alone be the one who's on the throne at this present moment, which is Lamar Jackson. Now, let's respect how Patrick Mahomes lost that status in the eyes of some. Injuries, as you said, greatest ability is availability. That's part of the conversation. And not looking exactly like himself over the course of this season, especially the latter half. So there was an opportunity. Lamar Jackson seized that opportunity and seized it in his first year in a new system with Greg Roman. First year. And if we want to talk about just splitting hairs, because this is truly a coin flip, what flavor do you like more? Last year, we saw Patrick Mahomes come up short of what we thought this team could have been. He came up short, and he didn't ditch his system. He didn't ditch his philosophy, and he still held that title until someone came and took it from him. So for me, it's still Lamar Jackson, best player in this league.
Best player, I can't put any quarterback as the best player in the league. Like, I want a football player to be the best player in the league. It's like
Quarterback's not a football player. Stop it, Mark.
No, quarterback. Listen, my thought process when it comes to the best football player, you are completely dependent on the 5 guys in front of you being successful. It's a dependent position. All positions are dependent. There's no question. All positions are. But to me, there's so many guys that have to do their job. Put him behind an average offense. Does he elevate it? Yeah, I think he's one of the great players we have in this league. But I have a tough time saying any quarterback is the best football player. Because there's a lot more that goes into the best football player than being the best quarterback. If you want to make an argument that he's the best quarterback in the league, then I'm not going to argue that point with you. But the best football player?
Well, all things considered, because we already know the dependency levels. Look, if you're a long snapper, you don't depend on anything.
That's a semantics thing with me that really irritates me.
He's like,
it's like the Heisman Trophy. The Heisman Trophy seems to always go to the quarterback. Is he the best player in college football? I would say no. He just gets the most attention because he plays quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is a freak show. There is no question about it. But you look at that offense. I mean, give me another offense that can 90% of the time get 5 guys out in the pattern and hold up front to let those guys do their work.
It ain't all just holding up. It's like when you played with John Elway. It didn't matter whether you held up or not. John Elway.
Which is a great point, because when they don't hold up, that guy extends the play, and then the second reaction plays happen, and they're huge.
And that's what Mahomes does.
And Lamar.
Yes.
Closest thing we've seen to Elway.
Well, I agree with you. I never thought Lamar was the best player in the league. I think Russell Wilson. I think Patrick Mahomes. And I like to go back to what New England, as far as Mahomes, make the analogy a little bit with Tom Brady. Remember when he was winning all those Super Bowls at the beginning? I don't even think he was even going to the Pro Bowl. And so his numbers this year, it doesn't matter. But when he got to the playoffs, it was lights out. It was ready, time to roll. And this is what happened yesterday. And I'm so happy that Patrick was put in a situation like this, because I said it on our show a couple weeks ago. Like, you used to be my homie, now you act like you don't know me. If Patrick Mahomes can play ball, he is really a good football player.
Next level.
And so if I'm starting picking teams, I want a guy like this. I want a guy like Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson. I just think there's so much bandwidth. Things have to go. The running game has to be on point for him to be at his best. Where Patrick Mahomes, it can go either way. Those great quarterbacks can go either way. Nothing against Lamar Jackson, but yeah, I'll take Patrick.
I still contend Lamar is the MVP this season.
Yes.
Sure. I've always contended, though, Patrick Mahomes is the better quarterback, better football player. And Mark, to your point, because you've irritated me, down 24-0. Let's take Zach Martin. He may be the best football player. You want him or Patrick Mahomes down 24-0?
I understand. Again, it's
don't say
it's semantic. Luke
Kuechly.
Yeah.
He might be the best football. You down 24-0. Who you want, him or Patrick Mahomes?
Well, it depends on what contest we're having. Like Aaron Donald against man-on-man against man on. Like,
they're playing football. Aaron Donald's a great example. Down 24-0. Who you want, Mahomes or Aaron Donald?
Of course you want Mahomes, because he's going to touch the ball every single time.
Well, there you go.
It doesn't make him the best. It doesn't make him the best football player.
Most valuable player, then. How about that? If that makes it easier for you.
Absolutely.
The most valuable player.
I have no problem with that.
I thought Lamar's the most valuable.
Lamar is. Don't even go there.
What are we doing right here?
Mahomes is the most dominant player at his position right now in football, and we just saw proof of it.
I don't know. Did y'all watch that Tennessee game? I understand that they got beat and it was surprising.
That's a good point.
Lamar Jackson had 508 total yards in the losing
scored 12
effort.
points.
Hey. We had injuries at the tight end
Scored
position,
12
injuries at the running back position. They couldn't shift gears fast enough. But
12
508 total yards
This
in
other
a losing
kid,
effort.
the kid in red, put up 21 in the second quarter. This guy couldn't put up 12 points all game. He put up 12 points all game.
He put up 28.
28
in the second
That's
quarter.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Not
talking
20.
about Lamar got beat. He 500 yards. It led to 12 points. They got beat 28
But that's
to 12.
lending itself to Lamar. To Mark's point, it's greater than just one individual. It's a team effort.
Yeah.
So Lamar does the most you can
it's a
do at this
team
point.
Let's take Mitchell
Hey,
Schwartz.
it's a team
Let's take
game.
Mitchell Schwartz out of that game. You think the Chiefs still win? Let's take Patrick Mahomes out of that game and leave Mitchell Schwartz in, the Chiefs' right tackle.
You take all right.
Again. So you can talk about all these other players.
But
that
you
are
can take
better
Kelsey out the
football
game
players.
and they don't win. And Kelsey's not the best player.
They picked up.
You can
they
take
win without Kelsey. They got a better chance without
they
him.
They picked up Matt Moore off the street. Didn't they go undefeated with him playing quarterback?
No,
how?
no, they lost one game. But you're right. They played well. They lost to Green Bay, I think. But all right, let me quit being irritated. Should the Chiefs? Vegas now has Chiefs as the favorites to win the Super Bowl. Should they be?
Yeah. Just by coaching experience alone, we've been talking about a lot. Who's the best? Who's the most valuable on the field? Let's talk about just on the sidelines. Andy Reid is going to go against what's left in the field. First-year coach, second-year coach, third-year coach. Inexperienced in terms of these opportunities where we are at this stage in the game. So I think that you just have to look at Andy Reid, well-oiled machine, not being compromised in the second quarter, down 24 points. This team is fully capable and ready and has the defense it needs. So, yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs.
I think the Chiefs, just looking at their offensive weaponry and the different ways that they can beat you, they're just a tough matchup for anybody. You look at the NFC, though, right now. I mean, Green Bay, the way they can get after a quarterback with both Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith and Clark. You look at San Francisco, the way they're built up front. That's a great matchup, but I'm telling you, the fact that you can get 5 dudes out, and I'm not just talking about 5 guys. I'm not talking about a guy like me out there running around going, hey, I'm open, you know. I'm talking about 5 guys that can absolutely eviscerate you in man-to-man coverage.
Yeah.
Like 5 guys that will win instantly off the line of scrimmage, but also have the ability to change a route. And you see Travis Kelce do it all the time, where he's covered up wherever, it's a zone, whatever it is, and he's just manipulating, getting himself out, giving a target. Like, I just think, look at them offensively. The fact that they can do those things, they do it better than anybody else. And obviously, like you said, they have the quarterback that can deliver it at any time.
Yeah, I love the Chiefs now more so. We knew what they could do on offense, but the defensive side of the ball, they're getting it done. Yeah. And that's why I think, for sure, they should be able to beat the Tennessee Titans next week. I mean, just stack line scrimmage, shut down the big Clydesdale in the backfield and Henry. But I'm scared of the San Francisco 49ers. I think the San Francisco 49ers are more of a complete team than the Kansas City Chiefs right now. That defensive front four that they have there with Bosa and D Ford coming back now, that was huge. Yeah. And you saw what they did. When those guys, you can get pressure on a quarterback with just 4 guys and drop everybody out and pass. You can cover. You can cover people.
Robert Saleh is their defensive coordinator. He told me once in a meeting, he goes, I can put 5 guys that are all first-round draft choices on my defensive line. Yeah. You got D Ford, you got Armstead, you got Buckner, you've got Nick Bosa, and oh, by the way, the 3rd overall pick was Solomon Thomas, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look, you can put 5 guys out there. They're all
they're so dangerous. Think about the offensive side of the ball, too.
But Jimmy Garoppolo will throw you 3. Can you catch him?
Yes.
Well,
that's the only thing. But they can run the football, and that's Shanahan, and and you were part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that running scheme that they have is. You just plug and play. Remember that when Elway and all that, you just handed the ball off. Nothing against those running backs. Phil Davis is a Hall of Fame football player, but it seemed like anybody they put back there was going to get 1,000 yards. Mostert, the running back, Breda, Tevin Coleman, and now Kittle had 16 yards receiving, and they blew him out. I mean, that you talk about hitting at all different angles. They don't. They're not relying on just one aspect on offense to go with that defense. So they scare me.
I'm gonna play the other side and agree with Tony about the 49ers. Let's say Robert Saleh's. Did I say that last? Saleh last. He and Kyle Shanahan, that combination. I'm just sorry. I would rather have that combination than Andy Reid and Spagnuolo. I really would. And Kyle Shanahan, to me, is the hottest coach going in football right now, all season and going into this. I thought it was Sean Payton, but it's clearly Kyle Shanahan. Their defense they're the one defense that I think is built to defend the Chiefs. With Richard Sherman in the secondary, their front seven, they're going to put pressure on you with 4 and be able to take the other 7 guys and cover. And then when I look at Kyle Shanahan as a play designer on the offensive side of the ball, I think the 49ers should be the favorites. Obviously, I'm rooting for the Chiefs. Obviously, I think the Chiefs can play with them. Patrick Mahomes is a difference maker between the two quarterbacks, and there is an advantage. But I like the coaching combination better in San Francisco.
I love the coaching combination, and they are. And Kyle Shanahan is as good. I think he's the best play caller, best play designer. I think one thing that he does an exceptional job of is when you watch them, everything looks the same, but everything is different, right? It all comes out of a base, and it all looks identical, but everything has an adjunct play that goes with it that's created to essentially create an explosive. So their whole running game, everything that they run has an adjunct play action that goes with it that creates explosive plays, and they probably do it better than anybody else with all the motions, all the shifts, all the eye candy that makes you get off your point and beyond your heels as a defense.
Everybody has to do taxes, and yet not everybody feels comfortable doing taxes, which doesn't seem right, especially when you consider all the amazing things these same people accomplish every day of their lives. TurboTax believes that with the right tools and encouragement, people can be good at anything, yes, even taxes. And to help people feel more comfortable with the tax process, TurboTax Live gives you personal access to experienced CPAs and EAs who are there for you even on nights and weekends. And they're happy to go through your return with you line by line to double check that you've done everything right, so you can be sure to get your best possible refund and feel 100% confident in your taxes. TurboTax. All people are tax people. Time now for a big story presented by Hyundai. Let's move to Kansas City, where the Texans jumped out to a shocking 24-0 lead over the Chiefs yesterday. Before Bill O'Brien decided to get involved, the Texans coach made some strange decisions that opened the door for the Chiefs' comeback, kicking a chip shot field goal on 4th and 1, and later trying a fake punt in his own territory. After the game, Deshaun Watson was asked if O'Brien was still the right guy to coach the team.
No doubt. I mean, you might have doubt, but there's no doubt. I mean, I love that man. I'm going to play hard for that man, and I mean, y'all can say whatever y'all want to say, you know, through all the media and all the writing, but as long as I'm at quarterback, he's cool with me.
All right, did Bill O'Brien blow the game?
Yep, and I'm going to say it. I know Deshaun's still going to play for him, but I'm still going to talk about him. Goodness, why are you being conservative when you're up 21 and kick a field goal? And the beats of that being the root of conservative is conserve. What are you saving, coach? This is a do-or-die game. And you're up 21, you're on the road, and you decide to kick a field goal. But how did he decide to kick the field goal? Had the offense out there, calls timeout, second guesses himself, and actually puts the field goal unit out there. Then what starts to happen is the mental dynamic of what we call momentum, which is nothing but isolated events, isolated moments that you connect with a story. And momentum is just that. So what happens after that? Then you go down and you have the Kansas City scores, and you're like, oh, all right, interesting. Well, we knew they're going to play. It's a 4-quarter game. Next thing you know, you have this moment right here, the fake punt. That turns into all of a sudden now they get the ball, they score, then you get the ball back on kick recovery, and you fumble. My point is this, Coach. You let the air out of your team when they were up 21. Mash the gas. Put this one away. You didn't, and it all came back to haunt them.
I don't even mind kicking the field goal. I don't think that's the wrong decision in that particular scenario. What ends up happening is you go up 24-0. At that point, and I don't mind the conservative play, at that point, you say, hey, listen, if we make you drive a long field and we make you put 8, 10, 12 plays together and you score and you beat us, so be it. But what we're not going to do is give you an explosive. So you had kicked off 3 times in a row and you made them return it 3 times in a row. You're up 24-0, kick it out of the end of the end zone. You kick it out, you give up a 58-yard return. They score.
Right.
The next series on 4th and 4. Now, you moved your personal protector from the right to the left, back to the right. And Sorensen followed you both times. That's an indicator. Like, when you run a fake punt, if you've run 10 during the season, 8 of them are called off. That's an indicator, right? That guy is covering you in man. He's in charge of you back and forth on a fake punt alert. That should be called off. Whether that's a coaching thing or that's a player thing, that play shouldn't be run. So to me, I look at those things like, one, that's just dumb. Make them go the entirety of the field. At that point, you're still up 24-7, and they haven't stopped your offense yet. So I look at that and say there's a lot of things that went wrong there. But that fake punt to me was the thing that opened up the floodgates, you know. And then of course you have the kickoff fumble and you have a couple other things that go on. But yeah, but to answer the question, did Bill O'Brien screw it up? Yeah, he screwed it up.
So when they were down 24-0, you guys were like, oh, the Chiefs are going to come back.
No.
You guys had that feeling?
I had the feeling that this game is far from over. Yes.
I thought it was over. I was panicking. And I got called. My cousin Dennis texted me. He's like, I was texting him back and forth. He's like, you're a bad fan. Look at you. And I was like, I knew it. I was just falling apart. Because I didn't think they were going to come back. But then when they started getting that momentum back, there's no momentum like momentum. And when that happened, I was like, this is a buzzsaw that they're going through right now.
Yeah.
There was no stopping this. Do I blame Bill O'Brien for that? I don't know. I don't know even if that was Belichick. What do you do? They were coming on so strong. The tsunami was there. You can't do anything. You cannot stop that. That's the way I felt. They won 51-31. It wasn't like they came back and made it a close game. They blew them out.
Right.
So I can't blame Bill O'Brien. I know a lot of the stuff you guys are talking about, and I agree with you a little bit, but I mean, Jimmy Ray used to say, if and buts were coconuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
Right.
I don't know if you can go back and say, okay, well, if we would have, because I think we can all watch the film.
They probably lost 31-38 if they played conservative, like I said.
That's what I'm saying. There was no stopping that train.
And that is kind of what I believe. I
Right.
thought Bill O'Brien was an idiot yesterday. He made some decisions that were idiotic. Let me say it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it started with not challenging the spot on the third down play that set up 4th and 1, right? Again, they took a timeout. I was like, well, no, challenge. It was a bad spot. If the ball's moved forward a half yard.
It has to be a first down.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, if it's even moved 6 inches, you lose the challenge. Even if it's a 6-inch. If it's not considered a first down, you'll lose your challenge.
You lose the challenge, but they won't move the ball either?
No.
The ball stays where it's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's how the rule works. There are so many there's so many nuances to the way they call these things. Yeah.
But I agree with Tony. In my view, I don't think there was anything, and I thought the fake punt, I thought there was some foolishness,
Right.
but there was nothing he could do. They were not in the same class as the Kansas City Chiefs at all.
Right.
Even when the Chiefs fell down, it was all a calamity of like forced errors. Travis Kelce drops the ball on third down. Was it Watkins or Robinson, the other one that dropped the ball?
Yeah.
Then they fumble or get the punt blocked or whatever. It was all just silliness.
Here's where the calamity starts for me.
Tyreek Hill dropped the punt.
All right, I don't mind like I said, I don't mind the conservative angle in kicking the field goal there. But then don't come off after the game, after your question about it, and say, well, I didn't feel like we had a good 4th and 1 play call.
Yeah.
You got one of the most dynamic players in the world playing quarterback, and you don't have a good 4th and 1 call? But don't give me that. Like that to me, all right.
We didn't have a good 1-yard play.
Right.
If you ain't got a 1-yard play, you ain't got no play.
Right, and that's what's absurd about this, and this is why I'm putting a lot more onus on coach in this moment. You line up, it is 4th and 1 on the 13-yard line, and you're lining up to run a play to go. And then you say, stop. And the team is sitting there like, why stop? Come on, field goal unit out there. Then you find out, in the moment, you're like, why are you stopping? We should go for it. Oh, we don't have a good play for that. Fast forward a couple minutes, then you have a situation on the fake punt, and you're saying we went for it because I thought we needed to continue to drive because we needed points. But you didn't need points when you didn't have a play call for a 4th and 1. If you're being led by that mindset, by that coach, you don't know which way is up. You are like, coach is lost. We always talk about players not ready for these big moments. Let's highlight a little. Sometimes coach is not ready for these big moments.
All right, incredible moment here yesterday when our very own Jimmy Johnson found out he had been elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Congrats to Jimmy. Long overdue.
Yeah.
All right, Tony Gonzalez is back. We're joined now by Fox NFL analyst TJ Houshmandzadeh. Let's move to Lambeau, where Aaron Rodgers and the Packers were able to hold off a late surge by Russell Wilson to defeat the Seahawks and advance to the NFC Championship game. Rodgers and company will now head to Santa Clara to face off with the 49ers team that has been the NFC's frontrunners all season and just dominated their divisional matchup against the Vikings. Can Aaron Rodgers and the Packers compete with the 49ers?
No. But they can't close the gap from the regular season matchup. No. You saw that clip right there, all the tears? Gonna be the Packers crying. Not for joy either. They're gonna get beat. They're gonna get beat because this is a well-rounded 49ers team that already has that confidence going into this game of playing so well against you. So now, if you're the Packers, do you trust in what you went into Santa Clara with the first time, or do you remix it? And if you remix it, then that's going to be the first time trying it out against them. I just think the 49ers, on paper, as we said before, coaching matchup, and as well as just in confidence, I think that they're ready to advance.
Yeah, they can't compete with the 49ers. Just my eyes, when you watch both games, the way the 49ers completely stymied the Vikings, and Packers played a tough game against the Seahawks. It was a good game. But to me, Aaron Rodgers, you complete 16 passes, and 8 of those completions went to Devontae. Man, they're not going to let that happen. You're not going to let one player just beat you. 160 yards for Devontae Adams. Anytime he needs to play, that's where he's going. They're going to take that away. It's going to get ugly. It's going to be an ugly game.
Yeah, I agree with you, too. I don't see too much of a contest coming, especially we talked about earlier, the 4 defensive front with D Ford back and Joey Bosa coming on the edge and those 2 big boys in the middle. You can just drop everybody in coverage right now and double team Devontae Adams. It's just going to be very tough for Aaron to go out there who's not having the greatest season. He's not the Aaron Rodgers that we've seen in the past. Looked a lot better yesterday, and that's what he's supposed to do. He's a Hall of Fame football player. I'm never going to count them out. Never, ever count out a Hall of Fame quarterback.
I am.
They can still win this game, but I don't think
it's not likely.
Stop that.
It's not likely, but
50 years
But he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. You can count out a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Joe Namath out, too. He's a Hall of Fame.
You can count him out.
I can't believe y'all sitting here. No respect for Aaron Rodgers?
None.
I got respect. I said never count him out. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Team, not this
Can he look? This reminds me of the way we were all talking when LeBron James was in Cleveland and facing that Golden State Warriors team, and they're down 3-1, and it's over, blah, blah, blah. And I remember saying, I was like, it's not that I thought it was going to happen, but I'm just like, hey, there's some people you just don't second guess in this kind of way. And Aaron Rodgers is one of those guys that I just don't, what's the upside?
They would have to play so bad, the 49ers.
And Richard Sherman got to get
bad.
suspended like Draymond did, and that just changes everything. Everybody got to go. Everybody get hurt.
Aaron Rodgers, man, can make miracles happen. Look, is San Francisco a lot better than the Houston Texans? No question about it. But Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes are 2 guys, like, if you let them out on the field, man, crazy things can happen. And I certainly wouldn't, I hope, and I'm sure they're not, but San Francisco, if they get caught up in this mentality, like, man, we beat them 38-7, and it's going to be the same, it's not going to be the same. And maybe in the second half, I certainly think it'll be close in the first half. Maybe in the second half, they turn them over and do some things and get rid of. I just don't see Aaron Rodgers getting dusted in the NFC Championship.
Oh, man, we got to dive into the details where usually it gets a little snarky and you start taking shots, but respect for Aaron Rodgers and his greatness. 3 NFC Championship appearances, I have a record. And he went against teams that were led by Jay Cutler, Russell Wilson, and Matt Ryan. He's won 1 of those. Which one you think it was?
Cutler.
Yeah, damn right. All right. So look, Jimmy Garoppolo is closer to Cutler than he is to Russell Wilson, who, depends on how you think of him. But this team is healthier than they've ever been this year in terms of Quan Alexander. We talked about D Ford, a healthy unit, primed for this moment at home, and they already beat you 37-8. That's beyond uphill climbing. That is next level tough, and I don't think
even the first game, when you look at the 49ers statistically, they weren't great against Green Bay in the first game statistically, but you look at the score and you think, oh, man, they must have. No, they didn't play that great offensively. With this defensive line, they're healthy. It's what you got D Ford, DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, Nick Bosa. They're going to rush 4 and put pressure on Aaron Rodgers. The best thing the Packers can do, and the only chance they have, is if they're able to run the ball effectively. Now they're forcing a safety into the box, and now you get single high coverage. But still, when you're just throwing the ball to one receiver, he's not even throwing the ball to anybody else. It's Devontae Adams or bust. They're going to take that away.
I'm with you, though. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. If I'm putting money on the game, we allowed to even say it on television?
Yeah.
Okay, if I'm putting money on the game, I'm going to bet the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, hell no, they're not covering that.
You don't think they'll cover 7? I don't know. This is Aaron Rodgers, though. It is a big deal.
You're saying Green Bay won't cover?
No, Green Bay won't cover. No, not at all. Fun fact, trivia. How many yards did Aaron Rodgers throw for in the first game? 104. Derrick Henry has that like in the first quarter rushing. And Aaron Rodgers had that in a complete game against this defense. This is going to be a tough one, y'all.
The one thing I think because of the quirks in his personality, we act like he's not a great hyper competitor.
Oh, he is.
And so he knows the 104 yards. He knows that people are counting him out. He knows that allegedly he hasn't had a great season. I just think we're going to see a special performance.
But when that defensive line gets in his face, what can Aaron Rodgers do about that? Aaron Rodgers can play. I'm not going to. But when they are rushing you and they are there's nothing you can do about that but hope the line blocks better. You can't do anything about it.
They're going to go into the game with a game plan for him to get rid of the ball quicker and take calculated shots down the field. I just don't think he's going to be holding the ball that long most of the time. And if they can get any running game established, they'll take their shots through play action passing. They're going to figure out a way. I think Aaron Rodgers will figure out a way to be competitive in this game. And I know that I assume the 49ers are going to win, but I just don't see them getting – I think a lot of people think they're going to get ran over by 17 points or whatever, and the game won't be worth watching. I disagree.
49ers have a tougher defense than Seattle. Green Bay was at home against Seattle. Aaron Rodgers threw for 59% completion percentage. That's against Seattle. Now you take this show on the road where you didn't have success the first time, and you think these numbers are going to improve drastically to a point where they can win this game? Absolutely not. Close the gap between the first outcome? That's all you can hope for.
Mark Schlereth and TJ Houshmandzadeh are back. Let's return to Green Bay, where Russell Wilson nearly pulled off an epic comeback yesterday against the Packers, dragging the Seahawks back from down 21-3 at halftime before coming up short in a 28-23 loss. Seattle's offense was stagnant to start the game before turning it loose in the second half, but ultimately the defense was unable to get a couple of big stops on third down in the game's final minutes. Are the Seahawks mishandling Russell Wilson?
No, not at all. It's funny that I knew this would be one of the conversations because we know of his supreme talent and abilities. We're like, it has to be someone else. It has to be something else. And it's been a seismic shift in terms of resources from the defensive side to the offensive side. A lot of offensive transactions to support Russell Wilson. Go back to Dwayne Brown being there and being a part of the trade 2017 to shore up the offensive line. You talk about them having Tyler Lockett, 1,000-yard receiver, drafting DK Metcalf, having the leading rushing attack in the NFL last year. 3 guys in one game going over 100 yards. And then those guys get hurt this year, and they tried to keep the things going, but at the same time, it didn't fully support Russell Wilson. But mishandling? No. With all these transactions and others, they've tried to really groom an offense that can go out there and take full advantage of Russell Wilson's abilities. So far, that hasn't happened, but let's remind ourselves, this team had a better outcome this year than it did last year. Last year, that team went into Dallas and lost. This year, this team had won a playoff game. So they're climbing the mountain just slower than everyone wants.
To a certain degree, yes. And that's as long as Pete Carroll's the head coach, it's not going to change because Pete Carroll wants to run the ball. I don't care how good of a quarterback Russell Wilson is or becomes, Pete Carroll wants to run the ball. When you play for Pete Carroll, and I was there with him, he preached, it's all about the ball. That's first meeting, he'll get a ball. It's all about the ball, guys, and he'll pass it around. It's all about the ball. This is the most important thing. He wants to run the ball. He doesn't want to throw. And then you go back, he said it last year, the best way to not screw it up is to run the ball. And so he's not going to put the game in Russell Wilson's hand. You think our running backs get hurt, we're going to turn into a passing team. Oh, no. We're still going to try to run the ball because that's in Pete Carroll's DNA.
Yeah. Listen, I think they put when you go back to what happened this year, I mean, you have a running back that's starting for you that was serving tequila shots 3 weeks ago, right? I mean, that's how injured they were there. You had 3 offensive linemen that were down. So you're paying 3 backups. And I promise you, it's much easier to run block than it is to pass protect. So that's part of the game plan. That's part of what they're doing here. Your tight end position, Luke Wilson was on the street in probably October. He's your starting tight end. You've got your 3rd and 4th team tight ends. So, the injury aspect of that was essentially one of the reasons they play the way they play. You're 100% right about Pete Carroll. I mean, he's going to run the ball. That's what they're going to do. The thing that makes Russell Wilson so incredible is Russell Wilson doesn't care if you win throwing it 5 times or if you win throwing it 50 times. Russell just wants to win. And that's the way he is wired, and he understands what gives them the best opportunity to win is to be balanced, to run the ball. But you saw what happened in this game. Like, they eventually just said, Russell, not only do you have to run it, but you're going to have to throw it, and you're going to have to be everything to us. That's not I don't think that's a recipe for long-term success in this league.
No, it's not a recipe for long-term success, but Russell Wilson just wanted to win yesterday. And they should have been coming out firing the football and playing the way they did in the second half the entire game. This is where Pete Carroll's a tremendous coach. Pete Carroll is not analogous to the analogy I'm about to make, but it smells a little Mike McCarthy-ish, that it's stale between Russ and Pete Carroll, the same way it was stale between Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers. You only have so much time with this guy.
I agree with that.
And again, let's put an offense together that fully exploits Russell Wilson. To the point, I mean, what frustrated me, and I kept saying it the last 3 weeks, was like, we're really going to pretend like Marshawn Lynch is going to come off the street and be a difference maker. That's how crazy it is in terms of why wouldn't the position be, well, we're going to have to just really lean into Russell Wilson. Instead, we're leaning into Marshawn Lynch. That's crazy to me.
Interesting you say that. To support Pete Carroll and what his philosophy is, one, you have to stick to your guns. You have to stick to your script. Tennessee was 3rd ranked in rushing attack this year. 49ers 2nd ranked. Packers 15th, so they're middle of the pack, but we know that they're leaning into the run. So there's team success in leaning into the run game this year. And then you look at your team and you start to say, okay, we could get pass happy because of injury, but then that's a first iteration of trying that. Do you really want to try that in the playoffs? Because these injuries happen at the latter part of the season. Marshawn Lynch played, 2 games for them? I think that what they were trying to do, 3 games, give them stability in the run game to set up the play action, because these guys, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, respect for them, but not necessarily so daunting that a team is going to sit there and get beat by those 2 guys in a pass-happy scheme. I thought he had to stick to his guns.
Pete Carroll had told me in a meeting that this league is going back, like it's coming back full circle to the 90s, because everybody's gotten so pass happy and so spread offensive happy that now people are learning how to defend it. Now you switch back to running the football. You look at the top 10 teams in the league from a rushing standpoint, 7 of them were in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now you look at the top passing leagues top passing teams in the league. Only 3 of them were in the playoffs. Now some of that is because you're behind all the time. I get that stats never tell the entire story, but let me tell you one thing they do: when you physically dominate the line of scrimmage, you're going to win. This league, Tennessee is proving it. Baltimore proved it all season long. Yeah. When you can physically dominate the line of scrimmage, you're going to win the majority of your games.
Let me ask you this question, though. Let me just
go ahead.
We're going to reduce it just to yesterday.
Just to yesterday.
What would have been a better game plan?
Oh.
Going with Marshawn Lynch or turning the offense over to Russell Wilson for the entire 4 quarters?
Right. Turning it over to Russell Wilson, but then you forget about the complementary nature of football. You know what? If you go through a bunch of 3-and-outs because that's not what you do and you don't produce, guess what happens? Aaron Rodgers in that offense and Devontae Adams that you can't cover, they get more opportunities
with the football. It's easy to go 3-and-out, lining up 2nd and 8 because you just wasted it. Lynch.
He got 12 carries, though. Let's not act like he was a lynchman.
Right.
Like he was the guy. He had 12 carries, and Russell Wilson had 7.
What did the other running back get?
What'd you
say?
Many. Russell Wilson was 2nd. He had 7. So it wasn't so much a run.
All right, Darnell, did anyone win the Super 6 this weekend?
Yes, sir, they did.
Money.
Huge shout out to the 109 fans who split Terry Bradshaw's jackpot and $25,000. So make sure you download the Fox Sports Super 6 app and play for free for your chance to win on Sunday.
Joined again by Mark Slareth and TJ Houshmandzadeh. Time for the most fearless discussion of the day. All right, did Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore's run-heavy offense get exposed Saturday night? That is a question that will be debated throughout the offseason. We know Bill Polian's answer. Hell yes. I'm not convinced. Beyond Derrick Henry, 2 things cost the Ravens in their embarrassing 28-12 playoff loss to the Titans: Drake and Matt Rule. Let me explain. I'm not talking about the Drake curse. I'm talking about what Lamar's relationship with Drake symbolizes: a loss of focus and a break from the mentality that fueled Lamar's season-long success. Success at the highest level in any industry is very boring and monotonous. Most people cannot sustain the tediousness of success. They need action. Their mind drifts. Coaches hate breaking routine because they know the old and young men they manage will lose focus. Their minds will drift. Resting their starters in Week 17 and the wild card bye allowed Lamar Jackson's mind to drift for the first time all season. 2 weeks off was just too much. Drake is wishing you happy birthday one day. You finally have time to absorb and contemplate all that you have accomplished and all that the future might hold for you. You have time to hear the praise, the adulation, and the worship. Lamar took the field Saturday with a different energy. He said he and the Ravens were too excited. I say he and they were cocky. Lamar lost his cool and was penalized for doing a little too much on this tackle after throwing an interception on his first drive. He appeared to laugh about the whole thing on the sideline with RG3. Later in the first quarter, he confronted and bickered with Tennessee defenders. Lamar looked like Cam Newton on Saturday, a quarterback interested in being a global icon. Lamar played with the kind of arrogant energy you'd expect from a quarterback who spent 2 weeks texting with jock-sniffing celebrity rappers. Meanwhile, Lamar's offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, called plays like a guy who was bitter Baylor coach Matt Rule received $60 million to be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. The entire first half, I kept screaming at the TV, "Just run the football! Run it, damn it!" But offensive coordinators with reputations for building strong running games aren't high priorities on the NFL coaching carousel. Greg Roman called plays like Saturday's game was an audition for the Browns' job. Did Lamar and Roman get exposed? Yes, as flawed humans. Did their offense get exposed? No. Did Lamar get exposed as a gimmick quarterback? I don't think so. Lamar and Roman mishandled their success Saturday night. Handling success is more difficult than handling failure. All right. Did Lamar Jackson get exposed?
No, not at all. And certainly not for those reasons. It's funny. You look at this team and you look at their success this year and winning those 14 games. And let's use the starting point, not at this season, but last year. And Lamar Jackson, how he looked against the Chargers. And then him having the doubters say that, oh, man, I don't know about this guy. One-trick pony. I don't even know about that one trick. And then he comes out and he's going to win MVP. Then he goes into this game, has 508 combined yards. Then you start to realize, let's dive into the details. Mark Ingram comes in hobbled, ends up with 22 yards. Andrews comes in hobbled, not the same effect, only caught 4 balls. Nick Boyle was lost in the second half. And you start to realize that this team was compromised at its core in terms of its ability to go out there and be run dominant, and then really having a fine game between the hashes with the tight ends, et cetera. I look at this as simple as you got to look at the maturity of this team, and this is growing pains for them. But did he get exposed? No. I thought that this was a good game by him, not great game, great yardage, but more importantly, another step in the right direction. And from where he started to where he is right now, you have to respect that performance.
Yeah, he got exposed. And he got wow. He got exposed because what you just said, you're going to be the MVP. When your team needed you, you got to play like an MVP. And it wasn't all this. Like, you go to the first interception. It was a high throw. Should it have been caught? Yeah, but it wasn't an easy catch. That's your fault. The second interception, it was an out route. He threw it late, and he left the ball inside. You can't do both of those. And these are things, if you look how he improved. He's only started 22 games, not including the playoffs in the regular season. He improved so much from year 1 to 2.
Bingo.
You look yourself in the mirror, you go back to the drawing board and say, okay, these are things I need to fix. If you watch that game, they packed the middle of the field for the run and the pass. Baltimore likes to throw seam routes. They like to run crossing routes. They just packed the middle of the field and said, we're going to force you to throw the ball outside the numbers. And he couldn't throw it on time or accurately. And so for that reason, 100% you got exposed. Now, go improve like you did from year 1 to 2 and year 2 to 3, and you can fix it.
Yeah, I say this offense got exposed. And I will tell you this. There's one QB in the history of this league that has a winning record when attempting over 50 passes. That's Tom Brady. Every other guy has a losing record or a 500 record when they have 50-plus attempts. 59 attempts. He only attempted over 30 passes like 3 other times over the course of the season, 3 or 4 times. Like, this is not what this offense is, and you're 100% right. It's the one-on-one seam routes that they get. They run the ball so exceptionally well. They make safeties. They make you get 9 guys in the box, and you are wide open down the seams. You are wide open on the crossers. That's 100% what they throw, and it's essentially a one-receiver route. That's what they throw all the time. And Tennessee did a phenomenal job, but to me, you never dictated offensively like you dictated all season long with the way you ran the ball. And if you're packing in the middle, then start running some of the option stuff that you ran all season long. The stuff on the edge where you got Lamar and you've got an option guy and now we've got a defensive end or a deep outside linebacker playing some type of ridiculous surf technique like you're athletic enough to bring down Lamar and then pop out to get the pitch man. I mean, it can't be done. And so I think oftentimes what happens, and I've been there before as a player, you get to the point where you're so good at what you do that coaches get bored.
I mean, you've been there. Work when it's not
right,
working.
You're like, oh man, so they're going to have something for us. We need to do something different. Yeah. We need to do something special. We need to, this is going to be off the chain. It never is. Do what you do. Be who you are. And that's what happened to the Baltimore Ravens.
What do you think of my theory? And I'm not throwing it out there as a lark. Matt Rule at Baylor's run a nice little passing offense and just got $60 million from Baylor. Greg Roman's sitting there like, man, I done built the best offense in the NFL. We've terrorized the league. I can't get a head coaching job. And that is the guy that I think like shifted. Oh, they think I can't call a passing game. They think I can't run a big-time passing offense. They think this offense is a gimmick. He came out of character. In that first quarter, even when they were down 14-0, I was like, run it. Run it, man.
Halftime is 14-6.
Impose your will on these people. That's what you've done all year.
But you guys, I don't think we're really taking into account the collateral damage of a compromised Mark Ingram, a compromised Mark Andrews in the passing, blocking game, a lost Nick Boyle. Like, when you start talking about tight ends, and we know they're known for their exploits in this offense in terms of pass receiving, but in blocking. So when Ingram, with a calf, you had Ingram out there in Jersey, but not in
I'm
form.
not sure how much that would have helped because from the start of the game, when those guys were healthy, it was no
They
dice.
weren't healthy at the start of the game. That's the point.
Boyle was.
Yeah, Boyle
Andrews was.
Andrews came in hurt, and Ingram.
Marcel.
Yeah, but their other backs have been
That's true.
They're very capable.
And Justice Hill.
Right.
Well, for me,
Lamar Jackson could run behind me.
well,
It don't take a lot.
okay, for your motive, which is either you or to the you plural, which is the masses, I'm not a buyer into somebody else got paid doing something different. I'm going to do what they do to get paid. I double down on what I do because that's what's unique about me. So you can't be a jack of all. You got to be a king of one, and the king of one is calling a run game. I don't think he got compromised because of someone else getting a pot of gold.
I will tell you, I've been in a situation where we're the number 1 seed overall, 13-3. We lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars when I was in Denver. And we put a game plan in that was completely different than anything we had done that week. And we had that time off. We didn't play guys in week 17, and we had the first week off of the bye week, very much like Baltimore did. And what ended up happening is we put in a complete check with me package, which Jacksonville could get us out of our run game with certain looks. At the end of the day, Terrell Davis had like 12 carries for 95 yards. Come on. We were riding him with 30 carries a game, every game. 12, he averaging 6.5 yards a carry, and we end up losing to Jacksonville. And sometimes what ends up happening is I think coaches get together sometimes and they're like, man, we got him here. Like, we've got the perfect game plan. There is no perfect game plan. Sometimes what you have to do is just come out and impose your will. That's what Baltimore did to everybody all season long, and it was shocking.
That's what Tennessee did to them.
Yeah, right.
That's what Tennessee did. Impose our will. We going out physical to Baltimore Ravens, which we never really see happen. Tennessee said, okay, Tannehill, you're going to throw this ball 15, 16 times. We're going to impose our will. Exactly what they did to them.
We know where Mark is at on this because he said it earlier. But have you lost any faith in the Ravens' offense moving forward?
I haven't. I just think this is growing pains. I think that this is an offense you have to respect that has developed in year one from beginning to end. This is year one with Greg Roman. If you want to talk about Lamar Jackson, this is year two. You saw that evolution. We have to remind ourselves of some of the greats and their failures early on. As I talked about Bill Walsh winning 2 games with the new West Coast style offense, then 6 games. You think there was a moment he was like, I need to scrap this and just get with everyone else's game plan? Then all of a sudden they win a Super Bowl. Peyton Manning, his first 3 opportunities in the playoffs. A lot of people were telling him, hey, man, what's going on with you? You're a choke artist. But you don't scrap a statue quarterback who could go out there and be Peyton Manning. And he had an 0-3 record with 59 passer rating. Like, Peyton Manning was horrible in the postseason. My point is you continue to develop and use a scope and calendar that is not season to season, not game to game. It's over a 3 to 5 year stretch to find out the true success and how you can optimize in this offense.
No, I'm not going to lose faith in him. And it's what I said earlier. Lamar Jackson, he seems to be a guy that will look in the mirror and look at things honestly and say, I need to improve on this.
We're not talking about Lamar. We're talking about the offense.
But he's running the offense. And so if he improves, the offense is going to improve because he's a linchpin behind this. He's a trigger man with this offense. So if he improves individually as a player, that offense, now they'll be able to open it up and throw the ball a little more. They won't be so run-centric. They can be able to do more. And so if he improves his game personally, which if you look at what he did from year 1 to 2, then no, I'm not going to lose confidence because Lamar Jackson is a player that's going to get it done.
I don't lose any confidence. This offense is incredibly difficult, and the horses they have. Now, Boyle is one of the best blocking tight ends in football. Maybe like he and George Kittle are the best, but George is versatile where Boyle is just going to smash mouth you. But I haven't lost any faith in what they're doing offensively, because what they're doing offensively is virtually impossible to defend with the athlete that you have at the quarterback position. I just have a one game kind of outlier where they got away from who they were and what they are, and they panicked a little bit from the standpoint of you get down 14-0 and you panicked a little bit because you're not built. You certainly are not built to throw it 59 times. That's not what your game is.
Man, they were going empty in the first quarter.
Right.
Like empty.
No, it was crazy. But Let's don't forget, and I know Greg Roman wasn't the offensive coordinator, but he was on the staff last year.
Yeah.
This is 2 straight playoff duds. They scored 12 points. Lamar put up some nice statistics, but 12 points against the Tennessee Titans, and no one's lost any faith in this offense. TJ, you just described a potential blueprint of how they're going to be defended moving forward. Crowd the middle, the running lanes and the passing lanes, make the guy throw on the outside edges. And then after I just watched Patrick Mahomes, I have lost no confidence in Lamar. I have lost a little bit of belief in the offensive system.
I can't say that. Let's share the blame. Let's talk about a defense that didn't get a takeaway this game. And the last time that happened was week 3 against Kansas City, their first loss. So you want to look at the defense and say, hey, you didn't necessarily live up to your end of the bargain. Let's talk about Derrick Henry getting the most rush yards against them since week 6. Like, it's a shared experience. They gave up 28 to Tennessee. I mean, this was the 3rd-ranked defense or so coming in. That's tough sledding right there. So I just look at it like Lamar continued the course. Open up your game more, throw more outside the hashes. We got to do that outside the numbers and continue to evolve, but the offense is fine.
All right, speak for yourself. We'll be live at Loomis Park on South Beach as we get ready for Super Bowl 54. Audience check-in starts at 2 p.m., and we'll have special guest audience giveaways and a whole lot more. FS1 Super Bowl week live from Miami is just 2 weeks away. All right, welcome back. Whitlock and Wiley. TJ Houshmandzadeh's back. Let's move to Baltimore, where Derrick Henry ran all over the Ravens Saturday en route to Tennessee's shocking upset of the AFC's top seed. Henry even got in on the passing game, throwing a touchdown.
Man.
He ended up with 195 yards on the ground, making him the first person in NFL history to rush for more than 180 yards in 3 straight games, which went a long way toward setting his new record for the most rushing yards through 4 postseason games, passing a couple of NFL legends along the way. All right.
Fred Taylor.
Can Derrick Henry and the Titans hang with the Chiefs?
No. This is just quick segment here. No. They're gonna shorten the field. They're shorten the game. You can control time of possession. Not enough ammunition. Not enough firepower. It's gonna come down to simply the Chiefs. When they line up that relay team with that alternate and go empty backfield 5 wide, it's going to be a problem, man. So I love what they're doing in Tennessee, but I think they've reached their end. They've reached their limit. It's about to come.
He wrong, TJ.
Playing how they playing right now, yeah, they can hang with them. If they can play how they're playing right now, this game is going to be they're running the ball. They're going to make Kansas City be perfect with every possession they get. And you go to the first game they played this year, Derrick Henry hit them for 190. Tannehill pretty much played a perfect game. And Mahomes also pretty much played a perfect game, and they lost that game. And so if they can't pack this box and just he's getting 100 yards, just slowing down.
Yeah.
Can they hang with him? Yeah, that's an easy question. They can hang with him and possibly embarrass him.
Right now, Chris Jones is very iffy. The defensive tackle for the Chiefs, best defensive player they have, didn't play this past week. It'll be a problem if he doesn't play this week. Derrick Henry and that running game can shorten the game, keep that offense on the sidelines. But the other thing is, I felt like Houston's defense and Romeo Crennel, God rest their defensive soul, got exposed. got exposed. I mean, they just didn't have any solutions for Travis Kelce. I think Tennessee's going to have a way to slow Travis Kelce down and still have a way of defending Tyreek Hill. I expect the Chiefs to win. It's at home. They got Patrick Mahomes. But can they hang with him? Yeah. Can this be a dangerous game with Derrick Henry potentially running for another 200 yards? Yeah, I think it could happen.
Has Tannehill thrown for 100 yards yet?
Hadn't needed to.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And this is going to be the game.
That's the key.
He's going to need to, because you talking about, all we have to do is pack the box. Look, the bodies could be there, but it's going to be a whole different animal trying to tackle Derrick Henry. But we're going to make sure he's not going to be the reason we lose. It's just too much evidence out there. We're going to force Tannehill to do it, and he hasn't done it so far in these playoffs.
To me, the key is this. They want Ryan Tannehill throwing the ball more than 20 times.
Yep.
Last time they played, he threw it 19. Both playoff games, he's thrown it under 20 times. If you can make him throw the ball more than 20 times, they get away from that run. But Vrabel was a player. He knows.
He
and
knows.
So he's going to limit the amount of times he drops. But to me, with Kansas City and those weapons, I'm with you. They're going to win the game. You got Tyreek Hill. You got Sammy Watkins. You got Travis Kelce. You got Mecole Hardman. They have so many weapons in the passing game. You can't double everybody. You can't stop everybody.
Here's what I think we're missing on Tannehill, and you're right. He's going to have to do more, and he hasn't had to do more as of yet. But for Tannehill, he's smart enough to know, and I think a competitor, this is his lottery ticket on Sunday. He doesn't have to win. Yeah. He just needs to perform at a high level and be part of the reason they hung.
Don't lose it.
Yes. And if he can perform, he's getting paid tremendously somewhere.
Right.
And so I expect Tannehill to be better than what he's shown in these last 2 playoff games.
But look, okay, they scored 28 this week. They scored 20 against the Patriots and won. Chiefs just beat a team and spanked them, and they gave up 31.
They spotted them 24.
They spotted them 24. Come on.
Not any good.
Not enough firepower.
Uncle Jimmy's here to help us talk about our approval ratings for Patrick Mahomes. But first, big dummy of the day.
Big dummy of the day go to the person that soon as they open their mouth this morning. Doc Ellis, you think Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL? Nope. Dummy. That's why you never played for the Chiefs. Couldn't get no better than the Chargers.
Who's the MVP right now? Oh, we used to beat Chiefs. Spank on y'all.
Let's talk Patrick Mahomes.
Allegedly.
Who had a monster game yesterday, leading the Chiefs back from down 24-0 to defeat the Texans 51-31. The reigning MVP was overshadowed for much of the year by Lamar Jackson's breakout season.
Yeah.
Marcellus, you think Mahomes was motivated by Lamar's MVP year?
Oh, yeah. You know he saw that success Lamar was having. My favorite player last year, Mahomes. This year is Lamar. And I think that he channeled some of that inner Jay-Z. Allow me to reintroduce myself. In this playoff game, he reintroduced himself as the best for some, but for me, it's still Lamar Jackson.
All right, Uncle Jimmy, I can't wait to hear your take on our man Patrick Mahomes. I compared him to Winston Churchill earlier in the show. Your thoughts on Patrick Mahomes?
Let me ask y'all a question.
Yeah.
Y'all believe in Illuminati?
Illuminati. Sometimes I do, but yeah.
Okay, well, let me ask y'all this. Do you believe that signs and symbols are for only those that are truly conscious?
Oh, we going there? Read on.
Okay, look, just look around. I'm just trying to tell you.
What?
Okay, look here. Who did Roger Goodell and the NFL officially bring into the fold this year for the NFL? Jay-Z. Pow! Huh? Remember when Beyonce was dancing at the Super Bowl? She was performing Formation? Folks was getting upset. Ooh, she's sending all kind of secret messages. Then she said, pow! Night-night, lights out. See, that's how them Illuminatis do. But look here, y'all know who really calling them shots with Jay-Z?
Who?
And I don't even like talking about this. The people in them State Farm commercials. For real, y'all sitting up there laughing.
Yeah.
Look here, man, used to be a time if you wanted to hire something from somebody, you had to put it in a book. Now you just put it in a commercial. Every channel right there, you turn it on, what you see. You don't think nothing about it. You turn it on, you see them State Farm commercials. Okay, it don't matter. The signs and symbols is right there.
What do you see?
I'm telling you, remember last year, Chris Paul, James Harden, inseparable, right? Last commercial, Harden burned down CP3's kitchen. Next thing you know, his ass is shipped off to Oklahoma.
What does this have to do with Pat Mahomes?
Because you think it's a coinky-dink. What's this commercial? What you see? Aaron Rodgers introducing who? The new Mahomes. Now follow me. It's the 100th anniversary of the NFL. Who played in the first one?
The first
Packers and the Chiefs.
First Super Bowl.
The first Super Bowl, who played? Packers and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You know what they say? A coincidence ain't nothing but the Illuminati's way of trying to remain anonymous. Say what you want. The fix is in. Let me ask y'all a question. Who's the MVP of this show? Me, Uncle Jimmy. Where am I from? Kansas City. Are we going to Miami? Yes. So guess what? The Chiefs is going to Miami. All you got to do is connect the dots, nephew.
You're gonna reach.
So are you part of the Illuminati? Is that what I'm? Are you gonna be in the State Farm commercial?
Hey, you saw they had me on the sidelines down there at the Ravens game. I had to make sure that they got it right.
I did. There was a picture. Him working the chains. All right. Let's get to.
It's for real, baby.
Let me get to my approval rating for
You didn't see
Patrick
that?
Mahomes.
I didn't see it yet.
I
I raised him up 1 point in all-time greatness after pulling off that historic comeback.
Yeah.
88 GOAT status, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, man, consecutive AFC championship appearances. Nothing changes for me right now. They got to win this one for elevation, but he's already job performance. Can't get better than him in terms of what he's done on the field. I love him. He's a GOAT.
All right, the internet agrees with us. 52% have him at GOAT status. I'm going to spend all night thinking about Uncle Jimmy's Illuminati.
Don't think too hard now.
Little Tupac today.
All right.